Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. I'm Steve. You're watching Steve's Garage here on Medium Reality. Just to give you guys a little background on me, because this is not a car channel. This is actually a paranormal channel. I'm a paranormal investigator, a ghost hunter, if you will. Had a TV show that ran here in Jacksonville, Florida for 10 years called Local Haunts. And my partner, Pamela Theresa, is a spiritual medium, and she's had her own TV show called Medium in the Raw. She is a true gifted medium, a real medium. She sees and hears dead people like you see and hear me talking right now. In fact, her day job is to connect people to their loved ones on the other side, and she offers a lot of healing with their grief. It's amazing. It's if you have someone on the other side and you wanted to find out how to talk to them and communicate with them and get messages from your loved ones on the other side, check her out at mediumintheraw.com. And you would be amazed. You can check out her work in videos here on this channel, because that's mostly what this channel is our work as a paranormal investigator and Pamela as a medium. Oh, by the way, I also have a book. It's The Scary People. You can pick it up on Amazon. The link to buy that is in the comment and description for this video, as well as Pamela's website, mediumintheraw.com, is also in the description of this video as well. But my other passion is cars. I love cars. My heritage is cars. My uncle is a Hall of Fame drag racer, Bunky Bobo, with his car Hemi Hurricane, which now sits in the Talladega Motorsports Hall of Fame. And my dad was a collector of cars. He collected, he liked Corvairs, Chevrolet Corvairs, and he would fix them up and restore them and sell them. And he also had a cool, it was a 58 Corvette, bought it brand new back in 1958. But I've had a lot of muscle cars, including an 87 Grand National. I had a 68 Firebird convertible, which my friends just called Fast as Shit was the name of the car, because it was fast as shit. Not as fast as this 1320, I don't think. I also had a 69 Camaro with a built 400 in that. That was a very fast car. Again, not as fast as this. This is actually the fastest car I've ever owned, the Challenger 1320, and it's bone stock. I haven't done anything to it except for a K&N drop-in filter. I also have on order a Hellcat Air Box, which will open up the airflow and allow more air into the engine, because as you know, the more air you can get into your engine, the more horsepower you can make. And the colder that air is, the more dense it is, therefore more horsepower you can make. So it's important to have cool air and a lot of it to make horsepower. And the Hellcat Air Box pulls air from the headlight on the driver's side. One of the headlights, actually both headlights have a hole in the middle of them, and air actually comes into that, right into the air box. So it's a direct feed into the air box, kind of forces air in there, and it's cool outside temperature. So it's as cool as it could be. So it actually creates more horsepower. It's 92 degrees outside right now, and sitting here idling, my air intake temperature is 102. That will go down as I'm driving. I'm stuck in traffic right now. So as you get to rolling, the factory air box does work pretty good in this car. It does flow pretty well. The temperature will drop down to probably within 3 degrees of the outside ambient temperature, which I said is 92 degrees, and it's like 100% humidity. It's a really hot day. Not the best day to produce horsepower. Cool, dry air creates the best horsepower. Okay, you guys wanted to see this car in action. I'm going to show you guys this car in action today. I'm going to show you some 0 to 60 runs. I'm going to demonstrate how the Transbrake works. 2 cars in production history have come with a Transbrake: the Dodge Demon and the 1320. And a lot of parts trickle down from the Demon to the 1320. This is basically the 1320 is a love child of a Demon and a Scat Pack. So it's a Scat Pack engine with Demon transmission. Or not transmission, but Demon Transbrake, the line lock, and it also has the rear axle of a Demon, the 14-spline axle of a Demon to handle the power. It also has the adaptive suspension, so it weight transfers and squats to the rear tire. All the weight transfers to the back, so you have good weight transfer. So it launches well. The 1320 is also the only second car in production history to come with factory drag radials. This car has tires designed for this car by Nexen. They're 275/40R20s, and they are drag radials. So they're designed for the street, but they're also designed to get really good traction at a drag strip. They grab way better on the street than the tires that came on my previous car, which was a Scat Pack Shaker. I traded in for this car. Those tires sucked. They did not grab for anything. But the first response when I drove this car was, wow, this car grabs. It really does have some traction. Okay, I will get off and show you guys a demonstration of this car pulling from a dig with the Transbrake, and I'll demonstrate how that works. It's a pretty cool feature. What you do, you have, when you put it in drag mode, which recalibrates the engine and the transmission, it makes the car quicker, but it also makes the transmission shift really hard, which I like that. I mean, back in the day, you know, when I had my 68 Firebird and my 69 Camaro, you had to pay a lot of money to have a transmission built to shift hard like this does, so you don't have that little lag between shifts, so you don't lose time in a drag race. So this car, it shifts in milliseconds, and it's hard. I mean, it's really, really crisp, and people used to pay money for that kind of thing, and it comes factory on this car, which is amazing. Now, if you take it out of drag mode, it shifts like a normal car. It doesn't jar you loose. I mean, it's not going to be crazy like that. But when you put it in drag mode, it becomes a little more of an aggressive animal. You can feel the response. The throttle response is better, and the transmission is the big thing. You really feel it really shifts like a beast, and I'll demonstrate that to you in a second. Now, the car bone stock will do 0 to 60 in 3.7 seconds, according to Dodge. I've actually done better than that. Right where I am right now, I did 0 to 60 in 3.6. There's a little example of just punching it from a roll there. You saw it set me back on my seat. This car really does accelerate. And you can feel those shifts. It's right on the money with the shifts. And you can also shift manually. You have paddles on the steering wheel, so if you want to downshift, drop it to a gear you want, if you're doing roll racing, or if you just want to pass somebody, you can do that. You have manual control, and you can put it back in auto mode very easily just by holding the right paddle towards you. The camera mount could not handle the power of the Hemi. I had a camera malfunction. My camera mount couldn't handle the torque of the acceleration, and it flew off the windshield. So take two. Okay, I'm gonna pull over onto a side road here in Mexico and demonstrate the Transbrake and how this thing will launch. The Transbrake is, like I said, the 1320 is only the second car in history to come from the factory with a Transbrake. And what a Transbrake is, it's an old drag racer trick. It's been around for years, but basically it locks the transmission in first and second gear at the same time, so the car will not move. The reason why you want to do that is so you can build RPMs and build your torque up, and then you release the Transbrake, and the car literally slingshots. It launches like a rocket out of the hole. And if you have a prepared drag strip and the drag radials, it grips and it goes. And so, I mean, you take off with a lot of G's. The best G's I've had on the road are 1.14 G's, which is very respectable for a street car on street tires. And and streets are the best traction to have. So let me pull over into a secluded area here and demonstrate to you the power of the Transbrake. And like I said, it's exclusive to a 1320 and the Dodge Demon. It's not something you can find on any other production car. It's a rare treat. Okay, here we are. Here's a good place. I'm going to demonstrate the Transbrake. I'm just going to do a little acceleration here. So to demonstrate the Transbrake, you pull back both paddles, you put your left foot on the brake, you give it some engine speed, and you hear it kind of growl like that. You release one paddle, release the brake, and right now all that's holding it is this paddle. I let go, and it takes off. Now, I did spin a little bit. If you're actually going to do a drag race, you want to. This car actually has another feature called line lock, where it allows the. God. Okay, I'm having to go to handheld because I keep having issues with my windshield mount. Won't hold the camera. Every time I accelerate, the camera flies off the windshield. So I'm going to be doing this handheld. There you go. So pardon the wind noise. I have the air conditioner going because it's really hot. It's 93 degrees outside, and my air intake temperature is 107 because I'm just kind of going like 30 miles an hour here. If I went faster, the air intake would drop. And like I said before, air intake temperature is important for making horsepower. So I'm here on a kind of a deserted road. I'm going to do an acceleration run for you, and I'll show you how the Transbrake works. Okay, there were some demonstrations of Transbrake takeoff. This isn't the best road. It's kind of gravelly and it's really hot outside, so it's not creating the best power, but it gives you an example of how the car will launch. And the only other car that will launch like that from the factory is a Demon. And the Demon, as you know, costs twice as much as this car does. So to be able to do that in a car that cost $45,000 stock is just simply amazing. You can get a Demon, you know, they're all gone. They only made them 1 year, as you know. You can buy them on eBay or find them used. They're anywhere from $100,000 on up to $300,000, depending on how much they love their Demon. So the 1320 is readily available. Well, the 1320 is a limited production car. They only made 1,054 of these in 2019, which was the introduction year for this car. So it's actually more rare than the Demon. They made 3,300 Demons. 300 were for Canada, 3,000 for the United States. But they made only 1,054 1320s. A little acceleration there. And in 2020, I suspect that the 1320 production count is going to be equally as exclusive. So that's kind of cool. So you're getting something pretty rare and exclusive when you buy a 1320. That's why I'm doing these videos, because when I bought the car, I wanted to find out about the car. I wanted to find everything I could out about the car, but there's just not a lot of content out there for 1320s, which is sad because it's a really rare, special car. So that's why I'm doing these videos, to educate people out there about the 1320, because it is something special. It's not something that comes along very often. I mean, back in the day, back in the 60s, in the heyday, production cars, or they made special production cars like the Capo Camaro and the Thunderbolt for Ford, that were really exclusive and rare, and they were made for drag racing, just like this car. Like I said in my first video, this car was set up to be a dragster from the factory. It comes standard with one seat, a driver's seat. Now, just like for the Demon, you can add the passenger seat and a back seat for $1 each, which is pretty incredible. The car does come with factory drag radials, which is amazing for traction on the street and the strip. And I've actually driven this car in the rain, and they do handle very well in the rain. I'm very impressed with the Nexans. I've heard mixed reviews from people that have taken their 1320s to the strip. They're not really as impressed with how the car grabs at the strip, but on the street, I have no complaints on the 1320 Nexon tires. It grabs. I mean, and the hotter the pavement is, the better they grab. So on a hot day like this, they're going to grab good because the rubber is going to be hot. So it's designed to just be stickier when the rubber's hot, which is why you do burnouts. It's not just for showing off, it's actually to heat the rubber up so the car will grab and stick to the road better. So when the temperature is hot like it is today, I mean it's 93 degrees here in Florida, the road's hot. So it's going to make the tire hotter, therefore it's going to stick a little bit better. So there you go. You got to see the car run. You got to see some acceleration. You got to hear the car. I'm not sure how well you're going to be able to hear it on the video. It sounds really good in the car. And the exhaust on this car is, I have not done anything to it. It's bone stock. It's completely the way it came from the factory. It sounds amazing right out of the factory. It sounds really loud. When you do a cold start on this car, it'll wake your neighbors. I mean, it shakes the earth a little bit when you crank this car up when it's cold, because when it's cold, the cars have active exhaust. So there's a butterfly valve in the exhaust. So when it's cold, that butterfly valve is wide open, and when you punch it, the butterfly valve opens, so it allows more flow. But it also will close down a little bit for noise control once you're just like driving down the road like this. But when you crank this car up when it's cold, it's loud. And one of the most popular options that people do, it doesn't really give you a lot of performance gain. It probably doesn't give you any performance gain, but it does make it sound amazing, is they do what's called the mid-muffler delete or resonator delete. There's actually two sets of mufflers on this car. It has a mid-muffler about halfway down, about in the middle of the car, and then it has resonators at the end by the tips. And if you remove either one of those, you're going to make the sound of the car quite a bit louder. They won't really gain you a lot of power because this whole system is designed to flow really well, and it does flow well. So I mean, people who've spent a lot of money on aftermarket exhaust, all they're really doing is paying for sound because they're not gaining much in horsepower. Now, if you go with headers, which can be expensive, but they'll avoid your warranty, they will gain you some horsepower and some torque. That would be kind of cool. There is a 1320 out there driven by a female. Her name is Horsepower Hottie. She has long tube headers on her 1320, and she, with nothing else done to the car except for an E85 tune, which makes it burn flex fuel, she ran an 11.3 at the track. That's amazing. And she actually got her front wheels off the ground. She actually pulled a wheelie in the 1320. So the only other car in the history of production cars that pulled a wheelie, the Demon. So you see where I'm going with this? There's a pattern here. The DNA between these two cars is strong. Now this doesn't have the supercharged 840 horsepower that the Demon has. This has 485 horsepower, but also has 475 pound-feet of torque, and that torque is down low. So this car does pull out of a hole better than its competitors, the Mustang and the Camaro. Even though it's a heavier car, this car weighs a lot. It weighs like 4,300 pounds, which is a lot for a muscle car, but it has a lot of torque to get it going. And the fact that a car that weighs that much can be a drag specific car like the 1320, that's impressive. That they actually took, I mean, that they took a car that weighs as much as a Challenger and decided to make it a drag specific car like the Demon or the 1320, and did amazingly well with it. I mean, the Demon is the fastest production car ever, except for electric cars. It's the fastest gasoline production car ever. The Demon, or the 1320, when it came out in 2019, was the fastest normally aspirated production car in the quarter mile that you could buy at the time. Now the C8 Corvette is out, and it's faster in the quarter mile, but again, you're going to pay a lot more for a C8 Corvette, and you know, it's a different animal. It's a true sports car, or this is a muscle car. They're not the same thing. But I do highly recommend if you're interested in a car that's fun to drive, get yourself a 1320. I recommend it. Now, I live in Florida. I have the luxury of living in Florida. We don't have a lot of twisty turns. We don't have mountain roads. We don't have you know, a lot of sharp turns or speedy turns. We have a lot of straightaways. So pretty much every road in the city of Jacksonville is designed for what this car does: go fast in a straight line. Pretty much what it does. So for where I live in the part of the country, this car is ideal. It handles great on the road. It gets good gas mileage if you keep your foot out of it. But it's comfortable, it's practical because it has a real back seat that you can get real adults back there, and it has a trunk you can put a family in. I mean, you can't, what other muscle car does that? I mean, the trunk in this car is actually bigger than the trunk on a Charger, which is a 4-door. Now the 4-door Charger does have a little more, just a little bit more leg room back there, but there's no shortage of leg room in the Challenger. I've sat back there, it's very comfortable. So it's a practical car from that standpoint. Now it's if you opt to get the dollar seat. Now if you get the 1320, you have the option of not having a back seat. It'll come from the factory without a back seat to save weight, because you know, this car was designed to be a dragster, so they try to save weight where they could, and removing the seats I think saves you like 100 pounds, something like that, and that translates to better time on the drag strip. This car is just so much fun to drive. I look for excuses to drive it. I mean, if I need to go to the store, I'm like, I'll go. So give me an excuse to drive this thing, because this thing is such a fun car. I love the sound, I love the feel, I love the looks of it. There's nothing about this car I don't like. Not one thing. And it has a beautiful, I love the way the hood looks when you're driving. I don't like just plain boring hoods. I mean, you have vents to look at, you have ducts, you have a functional ram air, you have a functional hood scoop, you have functional heat extractors, because this engine does make a lot of heat, and heat is the enemy of horsepower. So it actually has ways to remove the heat from under the hood with these functional hood vents, which is amazing. That's pretty cool for a factory car. A lot of cars have scoops and vents on them, but they don't work. This car does. There you go, a little 0 to 60 run. Got a little squeak in second gear. And keep in mind, it's 94 degrees outside. It's hot. The air intake temperature is 104, and as I just said before, air intake temperature is important for creating horsepower. The lower that temperature is, the better horsepower you're gonna make. Because hot air, hot thick horsepower does not create horsepower. Cool, dense air does create horsepower. Like I said, when you put this car in drag mode, it shifts so hard it'll bark gears on you. I've heard it bark third gear before. And that's with drag radials. I like this feature on the car as well. It's got an active dyno. It'll show you what horsepower you're creating real time, and it's good for tracking what kind of power your car is making. And like I said, you can see at the top right of the screen there, it is 96 degrees outside, so not the best conditions for creating horsepower. It's just so fun to drive this car. sounds it makes. Oh, it gives you the feels. The way it lifts the front end up like that. Love it. It's really hard not to drive this car the way it was meant to be driven. I mean, you find yourself like frustrated with everybody else on the road, like, come on, get out of the way, you're going too slow. I'm sorry to say, you really look for opportunities where you're at a red light and there's nobody in front of you. That's a good moment. Well, that's going to do it for this video. Thanks for tuning in. Be sure to smash that subscribe button and like what you see. And be sure to check out the other videos we have on our channel, because this isn't a car channel. We do paranormal stuff. So if you're into the paranormal stuff, you're going to love what we got on our channel. Ghost hunts. My partner is a medium, a freak of nature. She actually sees and hears and talks to dead people. That's pretty amazing. So there's lots of videos on the channel showcasing that as well. Plus, we do go live on our YouTube channel from time to time, and she does live reads right on the air, which is pretty amazing. So be sure you hit the notification bell, and that way you'll always know when we go live and upload new content. And pick up my copy of my book, The Scary People, on Amazon. The link is in the description below. All right, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'm going to head home. Talk to you later. Bye.